Have you ever stubbed your toe or burnt yourself on the stove? If you have, then you know that we automatically do whatever we can to make that not happen again. That happens because we're biologically programmed to be well. And part of this mechanism means that we're biologically programmed to avoid pain. Sounds great. We get to avoid pain, we get to be well. Unfortunately, it's not foolproof. You see, we're really just like fancy rats, and we learn a lot by association. That means that if growing up, there were certain feelings that made it less likely that our needs were going to be met, then we also learned to automatically push those feelings away. So maybe mom and dad got mad at us when we were sad, or the only anger we saw was destructive. Then we would learn that being sad or being mad were not okay. And we would do whatever we could to stop ourselves from experiencing and showing these emotions. The problem is that feelings are like balls of energy. And we know this because if you've ever been really angry, then you know that when we're angry, it makes us want to do something. And similarly, if you've ever been really sad and you've had a good cry, it makes us feel really tired after. So when we block the natural passage of this energy, it has to go somewhere. And what we know is that it either goes into anxiety or it goes into defenses. And think of defenses as the mind's way of trying to protect us and distract us from experiencing those feelings that we learned were dangerous. Almost like bodyguards. But just like bodyguards really only protect us from any imminent threat, so they really only work in the short term. They don't work in the long term. So if I'm afraid of spiders, for instance, then if my friends invite me for a walk, then my bodyguards are gonna go, no, 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 that's not okay, you're gonna see spiders out there, you can't go. And they're right, there is a short-term payoff. I am less likely to see spiders when I stay at home. But what about the long term? What if going out is how I rejuvenate by being with my friends or by being in nature? The bodyguards don't take that into account, and my world gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So these bodyguards or defenses are well-intentioned, but we need to be the ones who are in control of when they're being used and when they're not. Some of the common defenses that I see include things like projection. The easiest way to understand projection is to think about when we project a movie onto a movie screen and we're really into it, and then the bad guy's coming around the corner and our heart starts to race and our palms get sweaty. That happens because our brain can't tell the difference between what we're imagining and what is actually happening in real life. That's also why when we're thinking that we're going to fail at something or that we're being judged, that our bodies react as if it's a fact, as if it's already happened. So with projection, then we are projecting the past into the present. So if I've had bad experiences in social situations before, maybe I was bullied or made fun of, then I bring that into the present, and when I'm meeting new people, then I get anxious and worried and uncomfortable. Or it's when we project our fears into the future and we react as if that's real. For example, if I had bad experiences with men, then I might expect to continue to have bad experiences with men. Another form of projection is when we go into other people's heads and we make assumptions about what people are thinking and feeling about us, and we react as if that's real. And quite often, we'll project things that we actually think about ourselves onto other people. So if I think I'm fat and stupid, then I might assume that other people think that I'm fat and stupid. Projection is one of the main defenses that we see in anxiety disorders because it's focusing on the past, focusing on the future, and focusing on other people's experiences. And do you notice how if we're in the past, in the future, or in other people's heads, we literally are putting our energy out there. And it makes it really hard, near impossible, to be aware of what our experience is, to even be present with ourselves enough to notice what feelings are coming up for us. Another common defense that I see is self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is when we don't do things that we know are good for us, like getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, exercising, spending time with friends. And it's when we do things that we know aren't good for us. Things like procrastinating, and that's a great defense because until the very minute we do it, we get to beat ourselves up with it. Or drinking too much, or spending too much time at work, whatever it is. Self-sabotage is a great way to avoid dealing with feelings that are coming up because if I'm too busy telling myself what a terrible person I am, then I'm not left with any room to notice that I'm hurt or angry or some other feeling is coming up. Another common defense that I see is externalizing. Externalizing is when we give the responsibility to things outside of us to regulate our emotions. Some common ones are work, sex, drugs, alcohol, other people's opinions, even spending. They're all forms of externalizing. So if you want to learn more about coping mechanisms and defenses, then go to our next video. If you want to know more about what you can do about them, then go to the Dealing with Feelings video. See you next time.